everyone, this is Samantha from As They Grow Up, and assignment number 2 for the virtual homeschool co-op is how do you handle negative comments about your homeschool. Now for us, this is going to be actually a short video because I don't know, we don't get a lot of negative comments. That was one thing I was worried about when we started homeschooling 4 years ago, was the negative comments, and I wasn't sure because I don't do well with negativity, so I wasn't sure how I'd be able to handle that. But honestly, everyone has been very supportive. The only negative that I've heard, and I only call it negative because I hear it all the time, is all the time, but I don't really see it as negative in a sense, I guess, because I just don't take a personal offense to it. But the one thing I always hear is your kids are not going to be social. What about socialization? How are they going to get social? And I know a lot of people worry about that. My mom, for one, that was the first thing that came out of her mouth when we told her we were going to homeschool was, what about socialization? Well, I was an only child, and I grew up in school, at public school. And I struggled all through school because I was very shy and very quiet. So therefore, putting me in that situation was not making me more social, because who I am was a very quiet and shy person, and at times very insecure. And so I look at it that way. Our girls, once again, they were raised in public school. My oldest is very quiet and very reserved, and she keeps to herself. She was like I always was in school, so she was out there. Now my youngest daughter, who's 21, was always a social butterfly. So basically they were both raised the same. One is still more social than the other. So I look at it as how do people, I don't understand why people put you have to go to a regular traditional school in order to be socialized. My kids go out, we go on field trips, we do activities, we keep them busy. Every weekend we're doing something. They can interact with not only kids their age, but they can interact with children younger than them, and they can also interact with adults comfortably. And to me, that basically is socialization. But in all, that's really the only comment that I've had. I remember when we originally were going to homeschool, I told my mom, and of course that was the first thing she said, was the socialization. And I'll never forget, I was terrified to tell my husband's mother. Both of my husband's mother is a retired school teacher, and she taught kindergarten for years, and my mother is currently a teacher in the schools. So to tell the two people who were teachers that, our kids aren't going to school, a traditional school, they're going to be homeschooled, it was a big jump. And surprisingly, my mother-in-law, she's handled it well. That the whole socialization thing was one of her major concerns as well. But as she sees the boys in the past 4 years we've been homeschooling, and how they've flourished and grown, and just how much they've learned that's even outside of what they would be learning in traditional schools, I hear less and less about that. When we're out in public, I get people who are curious, oh, your kid's not in school today or whatever. But when I say, well, we homeschool, I get questions. I don't get questions like, in a sense that they're looking down on me. It's questions out of curiosity. And I think it's becoming more of a norm. Like, for example, we were at the farmer's market not so long ago, and we stopped by to one of the honey stands, and he had honey for sale, and he'd also brought a thing, with the bees, so the kids could watch the bees and all of that, so they can see how the honey's made. And the first thing that he asked us, and this was on a weekend, was, oh, are your kids homeschooled, or do they go to public school? Well, this was just a question because, he was filled with all this information, and it shocked me that someone of his age, he was an older gentleman, would even have the knowledge of the homeschool, because a lot of times the older generation, they don't understand the homeschool. And as I mentioned earlier, I had no concept of homeschool when we started homeschooling. So I'm going to say I was ignorant in the field. It was something that I wasn't knowledgeable in. I had no idea of anything that homeschool, that I had no idea about homeschooling. So basically, I have had to learn as I've went along. So there's nothing wrong with that. And, I appreciate when people ask me these questions because, they're curious. And I'm more than happy to share with them the information. Our doctors, I mean, they all are thrilled with the homeschooling. I was worried about them at first as well on how they would handle it, because different doctors, they do play a part when you go to them, based on immunization, schooling, just things as a whole. The doctors will sometimes have their opinion on. Ours have done well, from pediatrician to eye doctors to dentists. We have not had any problems at all. So how do I handle negative comments? I don't have any. I don't have to worry about that. And I'm very blessed in that. Should I encounter any negative comments, other than the socialization thing, I just brush it off, because what I choose to do with my family and my children, that's my choice. So, if somebody over here may not like it, that's okay. They have the right to have their opinion. They don't necessarily have to share their opinion with me, but some people feel they need to, and that's okay as well. But, everyone is different, and what someone over here does with their family, that's what they choose to do, and it's none of my business. So, basically, that is how we deal with negative comments.